Okay, this now. So the other day I was snooping on Facebook when I ran across this picture. I hadn't seen it before, so it really struck me as being a very interesting way of viewing this flag. Heritage. I decided to see if I could find out what was so heritant about it. I followed the link to a fan page with lots of images, just like this one. Of all the ones I saw, this is my favorite. Despite the picture's ironic advice to re-educate amid so many grammatical errors, it's the last sentence that's the real grabber. As many blacks as white fought for this flag not by force, but by will. If you run across someone trying to push this load of crap, just ignore it. Arming slaves was against the law in all Confederate states. I don't care who they claim to have been fighting for. Had they been seen fighting on the battlefield, they would have been shot by both sides. Plainly, slavery was at the heart of this conflict. That's why this flag is seen by many as one of racism. But I have good news. I'm not going to talk about slavery or racism. I'm going to talk about hatred. Heritage, not hatred? Appreciation for one's own heritage is a way of saying to the world, this is where I come from. So please recognize it as a big part of who I am. So, to me, in order for one to take pride in one's heritage, there's got to be something about it that was good. So I struggle with this flag as being a point of pride because there's so few times when it was associated with anything good. This is proven by the fact that there's no mention of poor people's rights in those secession documents. There's no griping about how all Southerners will suffer with the abolition of slavery, just those that owned slaves. And after 4 years of bloody conflict, the Confederacy lost. Cost of human life? 620,000 people. Aspects of Confederate flags have been incorporated into state banners of Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi. This might be the closest thing to good that was ever done with any Confederate flag. After that, it gets waved every time someone engages in obstructionism, bigotry, fear, and terror. It was carried only by those opposed to the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, people that rallied against fair access to education, fair housing, and most importantly, the right to vote, were seen repeatedly carrying this flag. And it has now become one of the favorite flags of the Ku Klux Klan, the most overtly hateful organization in the United States of America. So I just don't know why anyone would be proud of this thing. In summary, I accept your argument that this flag honors heritage. Clearly you view it as an emblem of courage and defiance in the face of authoritarianism. However, the heritage you're honoring is one of hatred. And no, I'm still not talking about racism. I'm talking about this. To the Confederacy, this was the enemy's flag. This was the flag of the people that sought to oppress them, to strip them of their right to self-governance and individual determination. This was the flag of Northern aggression. To continue to honor Confederate symbolism is to continue to reject what this flag means today, which is freedom and human rights for all. The Confederates were presented with the opportunity to embrace those glorious concepts, but violently protested against them. If you're still unclear on how they're different, ask this guy. What he does here in these images falls within the spirit of the Confederacy. Even he understands that to love one means to hate the other. I realize that probably none of this is going to make any difference to you. You're going to continue to wave it and display it with pride. Worse yet, I believe you're doing it with the full knowledge of how offensive it is to others. And yet, somehow, you're taking pleasure from that. Because to you, it sends a message to the world that you don't care about anyone else's feelings, because you're going to do what you want to do, damn it. Because you're a rebel. Everyone else can kiss your ass, right? Well, let me leave you with one last thought. The guys that came up with this symbol did so out of a need to convince poor white men to leave their families and lay down their lives to protect rich white men's wealth. So continuing to waive it now doesn't make you a rebel against general authority. It makes you compliant to a specific one. You're not a tough lone gun of the new millennia. You're a flunky of a group of men that died 150 years ago. If those same rich slave owners were to pop out of their graves and see what you're up to today, do you know what they'd say? They'd say, good boy. Good boy.